down, pin our hopes to the ground, but we can work it out. 'Cause giving in is oh so hard, but love is at stake. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now if we only knew how, learning to love, learning to laugh and fear, learning to fight through these years that bring us closer together. Learning to love, learning the first golden rule, knowing that anything is possible. 'Cause nothing's gonna keep us from, nothing's gonna keep us from learning the ropes.
Greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Learning the Ropes. I'm XLJ, the OG, joined by my partner in crime, my brother from another mother, Mr. B-Roll. How you doing tonight,
How
buddy?
are we doing out there, world? The people can't wait to see my face.
I know, right? I know, and you should have seen his face about 5 minutes ago because
Hold on. We got a lot of stuff to come. Like
we got a lot
stuff.
to do. This is a super duper sized episode. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm hot and I'm sweaty. I'm not gonna lie. Been running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Not going to lie. Not gonna lie.
But should we? You know, this could be an
excited for tonight.
Yes, excited for tonight. You're flabbergasted, flustered, because we got some massive news here for Learning the Ropes, which we're going to get right into. But first, do we go with the breaking news? Because I mean, we literally just found this out less than an hour ago.
Let's
just do it. Let's just do it. This is
why
why we got.
You got to give the people what they want.
Yeah. Well, this is why we got on a couple minutes late. And I got to tell you, yeah, super cold outside. Yeah, not in Indiana, but yeah. So this is why we got on a couple minutes late, because I just found out some news about an hour ago. And I literally told Mr. B-Roll this as we come on the air, and he's still like shocked and can't believe it. But folks, there is a rumor, a heavy rumor going out there that Indianapolis is in talks with the WWE to get the rights to host the WWE Royal Rumble in 2025. But there's more, folks. This is insane. This would be an earth-shattering, monumental deal that nobody else has done something like this before with the WWE. But there's potential talks that this would be a 3-event deal that would also land SummerSlam and a future WrestleMania in the state of Indianapolis. I can't even talk, bro. I'm just like, I'm so excited. This is nuts. This is bonkers. Like, if this goes through, this is insane. And I think it sets the precedent for other, venues and sites of like what you could potentially do with the WWE and what they could be. Are you still in shock? Are you still over there, like, recovered?
I'm still trying to get the freaking video downloaded.
Well, as monumental news as that is, we here on Learning the Ropes, we have some monumental news as well that we've been talking and hyping up all this week. As you know, we here on Cold TV are so freaking busy with all this amazing content that comes out your way. And we decided, I've got Tanya here on Learning the Ropes. We've got the newbie, the pro wrestling newbie, who is becoming, more of a savant in the world of wrestling. But we decided, just one professor can't do this alone on this show. No. So our huge announcement: we are officially going from a tag team to a trios, baby, as we want to welcome in your newest co-host of Learning the Ropes. You know him, you love him. He is the wrestling encyclopedia himself. One Michael J. Duplessis. What's up, brother?
What up, gang? What's
up? Yeah, we're going to get those trios belts, baby.
How y'all doing? Glad to be part of the team officially.
Yes, we're finally putting you on the payroll. HR will be calling you with the information and stuff, But thank you so much, man, for coming on board. We're happy to have our brother with us, and man, we're gonna have a good time here on Learning the Ropes.
I'm super excited. You know how much I love being a part of this show when you guys have me on. So being a part of Permanently, I'm happy.
Hell
This
yeah,
is
dude.
great.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
And hey, like we always do on this show, we gotta start it off right with a little plug-a-palooza. Nope. So this week on Cold TV, you can catch a replay of Pro Wrestling 60, as well as we're working on a future episode of Coldcast. It's pulling back the curtain. It's in the can, but it's just needing to have a little. It'll come out either tomorrow or sometime this weekend. But it's a fun episode because we talk about the summer of 1989 and the blockbuster films that were released. So for all you big movie buffs out there, especially coming up on the anniversary, the 35th anniversary of the release of the original Batman. So how appropriate.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that'll be coming out here in the next couple of days. And
Hey, if you want to be really pull back the curtain, we do still have a vlog coming from Emerge that I'm still working on, and I'm putting this out in the universe to
you just put yourself on notice, brother, because that thing's supposed to have been like coming about a month ago.
Yeah. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, hold myself accountable.
We're busy here in Cold TV, so So you may see that next week. You never know. May see
I got a family.
Vlog.
I got mouths to feed.
I got kids.
But
next week you can be in store for a brand new episode of Pro Wrestling 60 coming to you on Monday, of course. We will have our Forbidden Door prediction show coming to you next week as well, and hopefully we're working on it because it's been a long time. We're hopeful to have a brand new episode of Friday Night Movie Night coming to you next week as well. So stay tuned for all of that. I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of surprises, and we've got plenty more awesome content. Feed me more. Yes. Coming to you here on Cold TV. And don't forget, you can get some of our...
Sucks, though.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. But don't forget, you can still get some of our pretty sweet and awesome merch over on ProWrestlingTees.com. Just look for Cold TV. And you can get some of our awesome Cold TV shirts as well as our PW60 shirt.
Maybe get a Will Ospreay shirt while you're there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bruv.
you could. Bruh. I'm sure they're going to be having a sale coming up for the 4th of July, so that could be the perfect time. But nonetheless, that is all what's coming up to you here on Cold TV. Now, let's get to the topic at hand because we got a lot to talk about tonight. We are talking the history of the Money in the Bank briefcase, and we have a very special guest with us tonight as well. It's been a minute since he's been here on Cold TV.
I think he's cashing in.
He's cashing in. Cool. Well, he could definitely do that and then some. Let's bring him in. We love him. The Michael Wayne. How are you?
I'm failing you right now. I was looking around for something that was briefcase-like, and I got nothing.
You could use the Lion King poster. It's okay.
Yeah, I thought the Lion King poster, but I've also got a custom wrestling figure near me right now. It's the Yeti.
Oh my God!
I may have taken like a 1998 the Giant and just covered him in toilet paper, but that's
the irony in that's hilarious.
That's amazing.
I know, right? Yeah,
the irony in it being the Giant is great.
It was the biggest figure I had. I was willing to semi-ruin. So yeah, that's what I made. How's it going, guys?
We're doing awesome, man. How are you? You've been.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Life is good.
That's awesome, man. We're so happy to have you on. It's been a minute, man. So it's good.
It has been a while, yeah.
We got Mike and Mike. We're just full of all sorts of breaking news and
I know
new news and
so much stuff going on in the world of wrestling as always. And hey, speaking of which, coming up here in a couple weeks, we've got Money in the Bank, and that's our topic tonight. We are talking about the history of the Money in the Bank briefcase. And gentlemen, there is a long storied history with this illustrious briefcase. But before we get into that, I got to ask you guys first, what's the first thought? What's your first memory or what do you associate when you think Money in the Bank? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
For me, it's those first 3 or 4 where Shelton Benjamin was killing it and just doing all that crazy shit.
Oh yeah.
Because to me, he may never have won it, but to me, he's the MVP of the match when it comes to its history. Because like, you never know what he was gonna do with his athletic ability.
That's a good point, man. He was an unsung hero in those matches and really helped put those matches on the map. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I definitely have to like literally mirror that almost. Shelton Benjamin. Like Shelton Benjamin was I think the reason the Money in the Bank match got as big as it did as quick as it did, besides it being at WrestleMania the first, couple years. But it really took it from, everybody looked at it as a, lack of better term, a cluster F, of what it was going to be of a match. Let's just get guys on the pay-per-view to get them paid. And they turned it into something super special that we're doing, 19 years later now still?
How crazy is that? God, I feel old.
Yeah.
I was about to say, that makes me feel old. I was just watching
Right.
the first few, like before we got on here. And the fact that first one happened, I was in middle school.
Oh wow, dude! I was in my 20s when it happened. That's how old my ass is.
I was a junior in high school.
05. Yeah, I was in middle school. It was weird.
Man, but I still feel like it was yesterday that the concept was introduced, and it's just crazy to think.
And it's okay. Middle school was weird for everybody. Let's just get that clear.
The fact that like the Money in Bank, that 05, that part of 05 was actually when I got back into watching the WWE period. Because there was like a 4-year period where I didn't watch the WWE, and then it was WWE Homecoming when they went back to USA. So it was like right before Mania, right before Mania is when I started rewatching it.
Because that's like literally right when I remember, because that was like when that Edge and Matt Hardy, like it was up. Yeah,
they had that great match, and that's a great show. That first Raw back on USA, the Homecoming, that's a good show.
Oh yeah, you could definitely look back on it. It's a pretty solid one. So yeah, let's talk about it. Like the origins of the Money in the Bank. To me, it's still fascinating that this came to be, because it's like, okay, we're gonna do a multi-man ladder match so people can get in like at WrestleMania, which that makes sense. I mean, that's so common nowadays. It seems like.
Yeah.
There's always one. There's always one, just like 8 to 10 man match. And it's just kind of, they just always do it.
Yep.
Wasn't it Jericho that came up with this concept?
It was Jericho. Yeah, Jericho is the one who came up with it. Is like, okay, well, what if we
credit for anything?
Yeah.
Like, guys, I was the one that came up with the Money in the Bank concept.
I still don't know how I felt
as an expert here. You gotta cash in.
Yeah, the 3 moves he knows more than Dean Malenko are all Money in the Bank related.
That's perfect, man. But so yeah, like you say, Jericho essentially created it, and so we get to WrestleMania 21. It's the birth of Money in the Bank, and like Duplessis said earlier here, really, I think the first guy that really put it on the map and made it like kind of more unique than a typical ladder match was Shelton Benjamin. Because the stuff he was doing in this, and Shelton Benjamin was red hot when this match was introduced. Like, he was Intercontinental champion. He was like the top of the mid card. It was just like so athletic. Everybody loved.
He was the IC champion at this time too. Like, and that's an era of the IC title that I don't think gets talked about enough. Like that Shelton Benjamin, Carlito, Johnny Nitro era in like 05, 06. Great IC title, John. Agenda.
Yeah, I think something else really odd, and this is going to make us all feel old again. Edge hasn't won a world title yet.
Oh, at the time,
when the first one happened,
not even WWE World Championship, nothing. Yeah,
nothing.
Like
absolutely nothing. I mean, he was a IC a few times, obviously umpteen tag team championships, but this is the match that made Edge just skyrocket.
Oh yeah.
He had won the US title like once.
Yeah, won the King of the Ring, IC title, multi-time tag champion. But like
King of the Ring when it made, when it mattered.
Yeah.
but it's like us old heads, man. It's hard to like for us, like we can think back to this moment and think of like Edge as like being like this Edge at this time too is just like
You
know
was
ruthless,
at this time.
red
the
hot.
Matt
Like
Hardy
I want to
shit,
be the champion. Like fuck everybody.
the
But like I
feud
think
with-
people think back to him now and they're like, oh yeah, man, he had like freaking 12 world title reigns or whatever the hell it was and stuff. But it's hard to imagine a time where he was
And-
not the champion.
the fact that he like it wasn't that long after that like it was only a few years that he had to retire. So having all those title reigns in between that short period of time,
It's remarkable.
yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Like we really didn't know what the Money in the Bank truly was until like, I mean, in my opinion, I think it's safe to say Edge defined what the whole Money in the Bank briefcase is, because it's not just like winning the thing. It's like the ultimate opportunist moment, which
Yeah.
we've seen so many times throughout the years.
and
But-
that his first cash in after
Oh yeah.
the Elimination Chamber match with
Oh,
a
yeah.
bloody Cena at
With-
New Year's Revolution
Mm-hmm. And then
is
Vince comes
a
out and
great
has that
moment.
announcement. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah,
But
it,
you had-
it really set the standard for what that was going to be.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And you had like an incredible array of talent in this first matchup, from Shelton Benjamin to Chris Jericho, Christian, Kane, Chris Benoit, of course Edge. And it's funny too. You look back because Edge didn't want to win this thing. Like he
Yeah.
wasn't even into it. He was like, "Oh great, I'm going to be in another ladder match at WrestleMania. I've done this before so many times. I don't really want to do it again." But like I say, he took this and like he defined what Money in the Bank really is. It's just like that opportunity you can get anytime at any time frame whatsoever. And you know, you look at the wrestling landscape now, like wrestling fans are so used to like, okay, you win Money in the Bank, you're gonna cash it in like at the, you know, that the best time for the cashie in, but like whoever the champion is like going to be down on their luck or whatever, you know, or beaten down or whatever. But like that didn't exist back in the day when this first happened. So it was even more of a shock when Edge cashed it in against John Cena at New Year's Revolution in 2006. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think if anybody else had won the Money in the Bank, that first Money in the Bank, it would be as successful as what the Money in the Bank has become? Because my opinion, as great as all those competitors are, I don't think it would have. Like, if I love Shelton Benjamin, but if Shelton Benjamin would have won it, you know, it would have been like, I'm just going to cash it in at the next pay-per-view or something. It wouldn't have been like, you know, you had to have a heel win this.
Yeah. And I think with his character at that time, because he had the Matt Hardy again storyline, he had that storyline with Kane that was white hot. Him being the devilish heel he was at this time, yeah, Edge was the perfect.
Yeah.
There was other heels in that, but it was like it wasn't Edge.
Yeah, like you said, Christian was in this match too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's not the Christian, you
Yeah.
know, bro. Trust me. Like we were,
no.
think of
yeah,
it.
Whiny Christian.
yeah. This was the creepy little
Yeah.
bastard Christian.
Yeah, that was Christian, right? He had like did that storyline with Trish, and it was like he was pretty much on his way out.
Yeah, because I mean, later in the year, he would show up in TNA. Yeah.
Right after One Night Stand, which
Oh, the irony.
that's facts.
But
Interesting pay-per-view when it comes to people leaving right after it that I want to
Well,
talk about one day.
and I think that's a perfect segue into our next Money in the Bank winner, because we get to WrestleMania 22, and your second all-time winner of the Money in the Bank is Rob Van Dam, and completely different cash in, but man, it was effective because you could not ask for any more home field advantage than Rob Van Dam cashing it in at ECW's One Night Stand in 2006.
Yeah.
And I still say to this day, it is like one of the best like crowd like involvement in a match, just with how they like were eating up Cena at the Hammerstein Ballroom, man.
Him tossing that jersey and then tossing it back like 4 times.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I'll never
That's
forget
gr-
the one big 6-foot dude or whatever. He gets it, he takes his shirt, wipes his ass with it, throws it back at Cena, gives him the finger.
I wouldn't have messed with that
What-
dude.
what-
That dude was
No.
huge.
No.
What can you say except for ECW fans? I mean, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that match in itself was really good.
Mhm.
Uh,
I think one of the cool things too that match did in particular, because Edge sets the standard of this is what it is. You hold it for a long time and then you randomly cash in, and then they like no, let's turn that back on its head now. They have somebody plan. Hey, I think it was a month and a half, almost 2 months out, that I'm going to challenge for it at this particular
held-
pay-per-view, and it completely changed it all around now. So now you really don't know what to expect.
So
They've taken something unexpected and made it more unpredictable.
So I'm reading some facts here. Edge held that contract for 280 days.
It's like
Wow.
the second or third longest, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Rod held his for 70.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, it was only a couple months later. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be
But,
curious
like-
to know who the longest is. Is it Priest,
It's
maybe?
Carmella. It's Carmella.
Yeah.
Oh, I
She
didn't-
held it till Mania, didn't she?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did. It was like, matter of fact, it was like
Yeah.
the SmackDown after Mania, which we're going to talk
Yeah.
about that here in a little bit too. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good. I'll be damned.
But yeah, and again, this was another match where like Shelton showed out.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love this second one because to me, I loved everybody in it, but the highlight for me is seeing Ric Flair getting superplexed off a ladder. I
Yeah.
was like, holy shit! Like he's dead. Like don't do this, Rick.
And he does the traditional like land on my side still Ric Flair
Mhm.
bump, and it's like, my hips.
Yeah.
And he's just like screaming and
Screaming,
writhing in pain. And
I
yeah.
thought I was like, he's fucked. He's fucked.
dead.
Like
He's gotta
Flair
be
is
dead.
done.
And
But
you
yeah,
get
that was
weird. You get that weird like brother versus brother moments because Matt and Jeff are both in this match.
Mhm.
I thought that was the next year though, because I don't think Jeff was back.
No,
with them. I
Matt
think that was
shows
the
up in the
23.
third one because he was injured for 7 months, so he comes in.
Oh, I thought Matt was in the third one because I remember it being Matt Hardy, Finley, Lashley,
Oh yes, no,
Rob
yeah,
Van Dam,
third one.
Shelton
I'm
Benjamin, and
talking-
Flair.
Yeah, never mind.
Okay,
You're right.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But still, this was a fun one, the second one. But yeah, let's talk about the third one, man. Because the third one you're in, I think that's where they had introduced where now it was 8 guys was in the match.
Yes.
And it was I love the first 2, but the third one felt kind of weird to me because it just
I
felt like there was
forget
some
Randy
guys,
Orton was in a match.
huh?
I forgot Randy Orton was in a Money in the Bank.
Right. It's weird that it was like Orton's in this, and then you had Edge in it. You had the Hardys was in it. I think Finley was in this one. Hell,
Finley,
King Booker was in this one
King
too.
Booker and Kennedy and Punk.
Yes.
And
And
Punk.
hmm And like this one goes down in infamy for your winner was Mr. Kennedy. He actually won the Money in the Bank, and we all know what happened. Later on that summer. Yeah. There
When
you
I
go.
think of this Money in the Bank, I think of Kennedy giving Hornswoggle the plunge.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah, that's
pretty
what I always
cool.
think of too.
Yeah. Because that moment's still played for years.
Mhm.
And the fact that like Kennedy's his trainer and that's just really cool to have 2 Wisconsinites have that great moment at a Mania.
Yeah, they're literally born and raised about 45 minutes away from each other.
Yeah. Like Kennedy's like Hornswoggle's son's godfather.
Oh really? I didn't know that. I mean, I knew
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were close, but I didn't know they were that close.
So they
Wow.
are literally like best friends.
I'll be damned. That's pretty cool. But yeah, man, like because Kennedy was. If you look at the history of the Money in the Banks, the guys that are winning, like at this time frame, it's like, okay, these are the guys that are red hot and they're going to be the next face, and like Kennedy was on that trajectory. Like Kennedy
Mhm.
was going to be the top guy, and realistically, he should have been the top guy, really, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But
Because they keep on beating in that he like had like beat like 8 world champions and within the the year.
His first year, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, hell, you're doing something good when like you come out on top against the Undertaker
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty damn impressive. So, but as it would go, Mr. Kennedy. Now, if I remember reading or hearing in interviews, I think Kennedy actually got hurt. Was the reason why he dropped the briefcase? Isn't that what happened?
No, he hurt Orton
Well,
I thought that was after though.
around the same time.
Oh, okay.
It was around, like, he was dealing with some sort of nagging injury, but it wasn't you got to go now kind of thing. Orton had just got back from his big, was it his collarbone or his shoulder or something, some
It
sort
was
of
his
injury like that.
collarbone, and then Kennedy re-injured him.
Yeah, like he did a back suplex, like normal back suplex, and he thought that Ken shouldn't have done it because that's, literally you're landing on what you just hurt, and B, he just felt awkward about the situation and went back to Gorilla and kind of complained about it. And sorry, Ken.
The rest they say is history.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But from this, you do get Edge winning his second Money in the Bank, and then also too, literally, I think he won it on a Monday, cashed, and I think part of it too, they had to get the belt off of Taker, I believe, because Taker was suffering from an injury too. And he just had a cage match with Batista on SmackDown. And of course, the Ultimate Opportunist was born, which I really feel like that is where that moniker come from. Because I mean, yes, we'd seen him do it with the first Money in the Bank, but to see him now take it from the guy who was the Money in the Bank to take it no less than like days later and cash it in and become world champion, it's just nuts, man.
Yeah.
But I truly think from this, like, this is really where like Edge, like that Ultimate Opportunist, just and because I mean he did it so many other times, not just with the Money in the Bank, but like in other matches where he'd come out world champion or number one contender or whatever it may be. So, but nonetheless, man, just the first three cash-ins was pretty awesome. But then we get to our fourth Money in the Bank, which happens at WrestleMania 24. And now we have, at the time, an up-and-coming CM Punk would win the Money in the Bank briefcase, which I think was a little shocking for a lot of people at the time frame because Punk was still in ECW. He was still, coming. Are you eating Chipotle?
Yeah.
Chipotle.
Oh, I'm so jealous right now. So jealous right now.
I love it.
They give you an actual good amount of food?
All right, you got to show us. You got to show us. How much Chipotle did you get, bro?
Because I don't mind
people want to know.
Under the bus.
The people want to know.
I'm an asshole.
This show's going off the rails already. Oh,
they actually gave you good food. A good amount.
Generous. I can smell it.
Well, like in class, you need to share with everybody. So I'm P.O. Box 915, Manitowoc, Wisconsin. No.
I'm sure, and I got some chips and some guac.
Okay.
Their chips are addicting.
Is it okay if I eat in class?
I guess ask Professor Duplessis.
Fine. I don't like Chipotle, but their chips are like crack.
I have a story about Chipotle, but that's for another show at another time. But anyways, we're talking Money in the Bank here. So CM Punk wins the fourth Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 24. And the irony as he would cash it in later that year against Edge. Like what now Edge gets a taste of his own medicine as he gets it cashed in against him on an episode of Raw. I think it was like after the draft. Yeah. Because Edge was like, so pretty much all the world champions were drafted to SmackDown where Edge was. And then Batista comes out and jumps him because they had a match the night before at the Night of Champions, I think it was, or something. And then, of course, Punk comes out, GTS, and wins his first world title. Let me ask you this, guys. How would you rank CM Punk's first world championship run? Because, I mean, I think a lot of people kind of look at it as a little lackluster.
I think it was transition.
Yeah,
like 100% think it was transition.
Yeah,
and it's really weird that they put that much work into giving us a transitional champion. It's kind of odd.
Yeah,
because I mean, he only held it for a couple months, and I mean, I remember on pay-per-view, he met Batista, he met JBL at SummerSlam that year, and then pretty much he lost it in like at that Unforgiven show against in that what was the name of that damn matchup? It wasn't like a 6-pack challenge thing or something like that, but it had a time limit on the scramble or something that ended up
Scramble. Yeah, I think it was a
Jericho.
scramble.
Like Jericho won it.
Those scrambles were awesome.
The main thing I remember about those scrambles is it's the only time you can say the Brian Kendrick was a former WWE
The pride
champion.
of Lacey Washington.
Yeah.
The pride of Lacey Washington. I used to be able to watch him amateur wrestle when he was in high school.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Shout out to North Thurston High School in Lacey, Washington.
There you go, man. But so nonetheless, the first run, like you guys say, it just kind of like it's transition. Let's see what happens. But let's fast forward to a year later. We get to WrestleMania 25, and CM Punk becomes the first ever competitor to win back-to-back Money in the Banks, and he would cash it in later on that year at Extreme Rules, where he would kind of really take the way of Edge as being like an opportunist of sorts, because here you have Jeff Hardy just wrestle this brutal ladder match against Edge and wins the world championship, beaten to hell, and then here comes Punk. Yeah, the Brian Kendrick
storyline always made me feel uncomfortable.
Really, the Punk Jeff Hardy stuff,
Yeah,
because of the whole like the drug use stuff. And
easing in on a guy's
low-hanging fruit.
Is very low hanging fruit.
It definitely doesn't age well now.
No,
not really. But at the same time, this is like the first time I think in mainstream wrestling in WWE where we really start to see like, okay, what Punk was, what brought him to the dance, so to speak. Because like Punk in Ring of Honor as a heel was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah,
Like,
his I'm better than your stuff in Ring of Honor was great, but like Jeff was like going through it at that time, so it was like, really, like we doing that?
Yeah, and they'd also do the title was kind of like a hot potato there, as you'd have him like drop the belt to Jeff, and then he'd drop it back to Jeff, or he would win it back from Jeff at SummerSlam that year. But like I say, this is where we start to truly get to see, like, okay, this is what CM Punk can be, and then later on, a year later, or whatever, we get the Straight Edge Society and stuff, which that is a phenomenal run from Punk's. I don't think it gets nearly as much love as it should. The Straight Edge Society. Love the Straight Edge Society.
It was so good.
The Holier Than Thou.
Definitely should have lasted way longer. They could have done so many great things with that.
Yeah, they really, I 100% agree, Michael. They could have done so much more with that. But then we get to our next Money in the Bank, WrestleMania 26.
I forgot this happened.
There you go. Because now we've had a succession of great ones, but you know what? At some point you're going to hit a snag, and holy shit, did they hit a snag at WrestleMania 26? Because a lot of people
blocked out this whole Mania.
Yeah, other than HBK and Taker's HBK's last match, but yeah, the rest of it's kind of questionable. But your winner of the Money in the Bank was one Jack Swagger. Yes, Jack Swagger won a Money in the Bank. This actually did happen, folks. Yeah. You didn't know that, did you, B-Roll?
No, actually, I did know that because he was a champion at one point too, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it was because of this Money in the Bank. Because he literally cashed it in later that week on SmackDown against Chris Jericho after Jericho had been jumped by Edge.
But hey, you know what?
What's that?
He does still have an undefeated MMA record. 2-0.
Oh, there is that.
So does everybody else in this chat.
Yes, we're all undefeated at MMA. So
I'm 1-0. It's very amateur, but I'm 1-0. So yes, we all have a winning record or not losing record.
See, combined, we are 1-0. Nobody can top that.
Yeah,
we're going into the UFC Hall of Fame collectively. They will erect statues of us. No, yes. But no, so yeah, so we get to Swagger cashes in. Swagger holds the belt, which it felt like rushed, man. It just felt like, okay, this guy is big. Let's just put the belt on and see what happens. And I don't know. Like, he had. If you talk about his whole career, I mean, okay, the We the People thing, it was okay. It didn't like knock my socks off. And the stuff he did in AEW, mainly just because of Jericho, essentially being his heavy. The hat thing was, I have to say, I would say the bucket hat from Jack Swagger was probably his biggest accomplishment.
Did I tell you he walked right past us when I went to that show in January?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we were all hanging out outside, and he was like, he walked right past us. He had the bucket hat on, and people were trying to stop him for autographs, and he was like, "I got to go get food," and then he just walked down the street.
Priorities.
Priorities, yeah.
He was probably going to get Chipotle.
I was gonna say, let me put that on the list of things AEW has a problem with. They don't have catering.
Yes.
That was my first thought.
Yeah.
Oh, they have catering. We saw Chris Jericho scoop out the dumplings. They got catering.
Yeah, remember, you got to do it this way. As somebody who's been scooping dumplings for 30-some years. I think it's easy to say. I don't know. We've got some other doozies, but Jack Swagger definitely is probably the first real worst Money in the Bank winner. So, but this was an interesting year. I think this. Let's see. This was like 2010. I think. I want to say
2010. Yeah.
2010. Yeah. Because 2010. So now we decide, like, okay, this Money in the Bank thing's so huge and popular. We got to give it its own pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view.
Yeah, so now we get into where Money in the Bank isn't at WrestleMania. Now it's got its own pay-per-view. And so you look back on the year 2010, you had 3 winners of the Money, 3 separate briefcases that year, because they had a SmackDown winner and a Raw winner. First, let's talk about the SmackDown winner, which I think a lot of people forget about this. But your SmackDown winner was Kane. So Kane actually won Money in the Bank. He also became the first wrestler to ever cash in the Money in the Bank that same night, which we've seen that done several times before in the past, as he would cash it in against Rey Mysterio, who ironically had just defeated Jack Swagger for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, I forgot that.
Comes full circle.
2010's a weird year.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, you literally have Kane win it, cash it in, and gets a world championship run. Which that's a time frame too. A lot of people don't talk about. I thought I liked Kane's run as champion in 2010. I mean, say what you will about Glenn Jacobs in real life, whatever. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the wrestler Kane. And I thought he was well deserving to have like a decent run with it. I thought it was a fun run. I mean, they brought back Paul Bearer back into things, and he had actually came out on top against the Undertaker in that rivalry he had with him. So yeah, I enjoyed Kane in 2010.
Did he try to
now I will say that I did not know that they had separate SmackDown and Raw ones. I did not know that.
Yep, they sure did. Now at first, and then
it was only for like 4 years or something like that.
Yep, it wasn't for a long period of time.
I will also say I think that's a stupid idea.
Well, you look at it this way, because at this time frame too, you had the world title, which was defended exclusively on SmackDown, and then you had the WWE title that was on Raw. Of course,
when the brand splits actually mattered.
Yeah. So that's why they had it. Yeah. It wasn't so much so like, because and then it was like you were designated, although I don't think they officially said it, but it was like you were designated like, okay, this is where you're cashing in. So like
it was a very unofficial thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But nonetheless, we didn't have it. We had one more winner that year. And dare I say, this was a launching point for this man's career. Love him or hate him. But this was, and probably a defining moment for him too. The winner of the Raw Money in the Bank was none other than The Miz. And this really sent The Miz on this trajectory, because The Miz, like I say, love him or hate him, The Miz was red hot in this time frame. He was
Yes.
like a top heel. Everybody fucking hated the Miz.
Facts.
And for him to win Money in the Bank, it was just like, oh, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect for him. Later on that year, he would go on to cash it in on a Monday Night Raw against Randy Orton. And then kind of like the build up to this was Orton had just come off of a match with Wade Barrett, who's in a rivalry with them in the Nexus at the time, which don't get me started on that Nexus stuff. God, still pisses me off to this day.
Wade Barrett's still not over it.
Yeah.
As he shouldn't be.
Yes, I agree.
But nonetheless, The Miz wins the Money in the Bank. And of course, we all know what he goes on to do with his first WWE title run, going all the way into WrestleMania 27, which say what you will about WrestleMania 27. It happened. Wasn't so awesome as The Miz was. Let's put it that way. But Money in the Bank 2011, a landmark.
I'm looking at this cast for the SmackDown Money in the Bank in 2011.
Yeah.
Again, one of those ones I forgot. This is an interesting group of wrestlers.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us who was in this SmackDown one in 2011.
Cody Rhodes, Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel, Kane, Sheamus, Sin Cara, and Wade Barrett.
Wow.
And of course, your winner as well, which would
Daniel
be
Bryan.
Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan would win the SmackDown side of things. Now, I remember, like, at the time, he always was telling people, I'm going to cash it in at WrestleMania. I'm going to cash it in for a main event at WrestleMania. And, like, that seemed to be like, okay, I guess he's going to do that. And then, correct me if I'm wrong here, Michael, but wasn't it on a, was it TLC or something, where it's like he cashed in against Big Show after Big Show beat Mark Henry?
Mhm.
I think.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only like 5, 6 months later, give or take.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it was just like, which was a weird thing to see, like, because at least to the WWE universe, now to us, like, wrestling fans, it was like, oh, fuck yeah, American Dragons win the belt. Hell yeah.
Daniel Bryan cashed in against Mark Henry.
Yeah.
On a November 25th episode of SmackDown.
Oh, I thought it was like a TLC show or something.
No, it was
okay.
Yeah, it was on a random SmackDown in November. Yeah, November 25th.
And thus he would start his reign, and of course it would end in tragedy at WrestleMania 28 in the infamous 18-second match with Sheamus that kicked off the show, the Kiss of Death. But anyways, but let's talk about and then of course you had your Raw winner, which was I hate this fucking guy.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Alberto Del Rio. Fuck that guy. Y'all, if you watch this show, you've watched Cole TV, you know my thoughts on Alberto Del Rio. He can go fuck himself.
Yeah, he's a
Sorry.
pile.
I said what I said. He won the Raw Money in the Bank, but this was a landmark Money in the Bank show because we got it. Even though we're talking about cash-ins and stuff, we have to talk about the infamous moment. It is the infamous CM Punk and John Cena match for the WWE Championship, coming right off the pipe bomb, leading into Summer of Punk, leading into the, like, you know, if I win this title, I'm going to take it with me to, like, Ring of Honor. I'm going to take it to New Japan, whatever. And of course, it's in Chicago. And that crowd, when Punk came out, I think, like, on TV, that was one of the loudest ovations I'd ever heard at that time frame.
Yeah.
It was deafening. It was like, damn, like, they are going to riot if Cena wins. And it's a great matchup, too. It's a phenomenal matchup.
Mhm.
And if you really give a shit about Meltzer's 5-star ratings, which, you know, to each his own, but this was like a 5-star ranked match by Meltzer, and I think at the time it was like the first one in 20-some years that WWE had or something. But once again, not that really matters. But guys, what do you remember about Summer of Punk?
They did it better in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I thought they brought him back a little bit abruptly fast, but then again, it was like, well, we got nobody else on here, so let's just bring Punk back in.
Yeah, they were definitely star hurting, which I think hurt it, and did what you just said. They had to bring him back. Because I mean, Cena was obviously the backbone of the company. He was for the couple years previous to that, and he was for a few years after this. But they had nobody else that was that big name marketable, so they had to shove him back. Unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah, I think they could have done so much more with it, but their hand was forced. And then, like, I think the best way to describe Summer of Punk, it started off red hot, and it just ended like in the drizzling shits.
Yeah,
like just you get to SummerSlam, and of course Punk drops he wins the matchup against Cena. Kevin Nash comes out. I don't fucking know. Like, why is Kevin Nash coming out? Power bombs Punk. And then, like, Alberto Del Rio comes out and cashes in.
That whole storyline with Nash and Triple H and
Dum.
God.
And it's like Triple H didn't tell him to be there, and then they'd have a match at like later that year, and it's just like, nah, I'm good. The one thing I will remember though with Punk, with like on the next Raw or something like that, where he's cutting a promo against Nash, he's like, I got a text from my sister said, LOL, Kevin Nash is still alive. Yes, you can see you. Unlike John
You see
Cena.
me.
It's amazing. So let's talk about the 2012 Money in the Bank. And I don't know, this one's not really like, so the Raw winner on the side of things, nothing too spectacular. You do get one. It's ironically, we were just talking about Can't See You because we couldn't see this man, because John Cena would win the Raw side of things. Now, what's interesting to note is Cena was the first one not to successfully cash in the Money in the Bank, as he would lose his matchup against CM Punk. So it was just like we were so used and so conditioned. I think it was against Punk, I want to say.
Ziggler.
But yes, we got that. That's what I was getting to.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was confused because you went to Cena, and I was like, "What? We got to go to Ziggler first.
We got to go to the best. We got to save the best for last." Now, on the SmackDown side of things, we get Dolph Ziggler winning, and I
legit forgot the John Cena thing happened.
I know, right? Like it actually that happened the same year. But it's funny, like nobody remembers that shit, but you sure as hell remember Dolph Ziggler. Because it's easy to say Dolph Ziggler had one of the best cash-ins of any.
Yeah.
It's in the top 5 for sure. Some people, they say it is their favorite.
Short of Rob's, it might be the most emotional.
Yeah,
I think so. Because here you have Dolph Ziggler, who has just been killing it. This is the guy who should have got a title push a long time ago. Killing it at like the top of the mid card, multi-time United States and Intercontinental Champion, finally starting to get like a real kind of push here, and of course it has to be like the Raw after Mania, right? Which is the most famous night, and like you talk about moments. I mean, this is one of those moments. Amazing. Oh my God, when Ziggler comes out, yeah, because you're just like you're waiting for it, because a lot of people thought it was going to happen at Mania. But I think it worked out better for Ziggler, honestly, being the night after, because it's one of those things. We as wrestling fans, we are conditioned for the Raw after Mania to be like this most glorious event full of shockers and surprises and stuff. And one of those reasons is early on because of that cash in. Because I mean, that was a tremendous moment when this happened. Tell me your guys' thoughts? What do you remember about that historic like Dolph Ziggler cash in against Alberto Del Rio?
I just remember thinking, finally, like he was the physical workhorse in that company for years previous to that. We'd been likening him to Mr. Perfect for so long because he was such a great character, such an amazing seller. That everybody that got in the ring with him looked better, by default, and made himself look better than, so for him to finally get his, flowers was amazing. It was super cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I think when I think of like the term Raw after Mania, I think that's one of the first things I do think about. Like I think
Yeah.
that's where that term starts. Is like you think Raw after Mania, you think Dolph cashing in, and somebody who like whose career in the beginning was not working out because like you had the spare squad and they had a good run, but then you had that weird caddy gimmick with Chavo when they tried to turn Chavo white. Right
Oh,
before
Kerwin White.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
yeah.
But
And
no,
then
you're right.
that
I mean,
ended because of Eddie's death, and he was kind of like, "What do we do?" And
yeah, it's
then
literally a almost like a rags to riches type of story, you know, because it's
very
just like
much
he's such a damn good worker. Like he wins it over like in work ethic, and you know, I'm sure you guys have read the stories that's come out over the past 6 months about like how they literally jokingly didn't push him as like a rib to Pat Patterson, which is just like, what the fuck, really?
Yeah,
Like really? Thank
makes no
God.
sense.
Thank God that the man whose name we will not name here is gone and out of the WWE because that's just a fucking crock of shit.
hold up. I have not heard these stories.
You haven't heard this? Yeah,
No.
so supposedly like Vince and was it Pritchard, I think? They like as a rib because Pat Patterson was high on Dolph Ziggler. And as a rib against Patterson, they're like, yeah, we're not going to push Dolph Ziggler with the shit.
That's some bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Collectively, fuck you, Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. But anyways, yeah,
Oh,
it's a shame. But I mean, this was a tremendous moment, and it's easily one of the best Money in the Bank cash-ins of all time. And you know what? To me, is the cherry on top of it all. He did it against Alberto Del Rio. It's like hell yeah, let's go. This is awesome. Now we go into 2013's Money in the Bank, and we have a SmackDown and Raw winner. But before we get to the Raw winner, I want to talk about the SmackDown winner because to me, I think this was the biggest lost opportunity of any Money in the Bank winner. Damian Sandow would win the SmackDown briefcase. Like, damn it. They should have done so much more with Damian Sandow. We talked about Kennedy earlier. I put Sandow right up there with Kennedy as a guy that like should have gotten some sort of a push because he was so damn talented and still is to this day.
This NWA shit is amazing.
Yeah. And we talked earlier about like we didn't really go into detail, but the customizations of the briefcase for each winner. The Damian Sandow briefcase is probably one of my favorite briefcases. Just the classic leather look to it.
Yeah. That's definitely top 3 for me between the RVD and the Kennedy.
I don't even know who that is, if that says anything.
You don't know who Damian Sandow is? You've seen him before. Shit. Mike, what's he going by in NWA? He's going by his real name, isn't he?
His real name.
Yeah, Aaron Stevens.
Yeah.
He's a manager. He wrestles sometimes. One of the guys he manages, he's in a tag team under a mask, is Rodney Mack.
Oh.
Yeah. You're thinking of him now? Yeah.
I can see him now.
B-roll, the thing is, his gimmick at the time was just like, I'm better than you type of like come out to classical music and had the robe.
Like Lex Luger in 93.
Very narcissistic, yes.
John Paul Levesque.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very John Paul Levesque.
Very Hunter Hearst Helmsley, yeah.
Nose up in the air. What was also interesting about this matchup, too, is Sandow would win it by tossing off at the time his tag team partner, Cody Rhodes, which would lead into their rivalry that they would have there.
He's very much model Rick Martel.
Yeah, he's much in that vein of just like this, I'm better than you, but he was such a good wrestler. B-roll.
Yeah, because Cody was dashing at the time, right?
Yeah, because Cody was dashing. Because they were remember the tag team was the Rhodes Scholars.
Rhodes Scholars.
I love the Rhodes Scholars, man.
Such a great.
So B-roll, you may remember Damian Sandow. Like, do you remember The Miz having a stunt double?
So good.
That was probably his
That's-
most known work when WWE was as the stunt
That's
double to the Miz.
When I think Davey Sandow, that's the gimmick I remember. I forgot about the stuff with Cody. The Mizdow as the stunt double is amazing.
Oh, I loved it. Like he's once again he recreated himself because like they weren't doing jack shit with him, you know. But Sandow would go on to become the second man to unsuccessfully cash in the Money in the Bank, which I can't even remember. I think he challenged Cena or something, and Cena beat him. I think's what it was. I want to say. I could be wrong. I can't even remember.
I think it was a Super Cena moment, if I'm not mistaken.
No shocker there. Yeah. Yeah, I love the Rhodes Scholars. They were a great tag team. Now, in 2013, on the Raw side of things, you have Randy Orton would win the Money in the Bank briefcase. And that infamous cash in at SummerSlam, where we get the birth and the formation of the God, I can't even think of the faction's name. That's terrible now.
Legacy?
The
Legacy?
no, not Legacy, but the McMahon Helmsley era, like the no, it wasn't McMahon Helmsley era. That was in the 2000s.
No,
the power, the authority. Thank you, the authority. Yeah, so we get the birth of the Authority essentially at that SummerSlam that year because you had Cena go up against Bryan Danielson.
I loved the Authority just because it brought back Jamie Noble to television.
Yeah. But you get the birth of the Authority because then you have Triple H, who was the referee for the Danielson Cena matchup. Danielson wins, but they don't want Danielson as champion, so Orton comes out, cashes in after Triple H pedigrees Bryan Danielson because it was what was best for business.
Yeah.
I think this is a time frame. This is a cash in, and this is one that like is iconic, and it doesn't get nearly talked about enough in the history of Money in the Banks. Because I mean, there's so much that stems out of this and the biggest thing is the rise of Bryan Danielson, because this is where people really were already that year. People were falling in love with Bryan Danielson, like coming off like the Team Hell No stuff, and now just going into the upper echelon of like a main event talent, and like people like he got his moment finally, and it was literally ripped away from him at that SummerSlam that year. But I think the 2013 one was an important one that we don't really talk enough about, but we should. Let me ask you guys this: like, we don't, like I said, we don't nearly talk about this time frame nearly enough, I don't think. But the Authority, I would think was like, I think when we were living in the middle of it, we didn't realize how good it was. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
because
I also think it kind of has to do with like. The Authority storyline was great. The rest of the show,
it was a little lackluster. Was a mid card and stuff at this point, but you know.
But yeah, I've watched a lot of the Authority stuff recently, and it's like, fucking Triple H is really good as like a authoritative like heel. Please,
I'm trying to remember who was the other bodyguard with Jamie Noble.
Oh, Mercury.
Yeah,
Mercury.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing about the Authority was the fact that their muscle were like two of the smallest guys in the company.
Yeah.
And they just ran, and like the second they were out there, you knew they were getting tossed. Like this is exactly what's happening.
Well, it's funny you guys are talking about this because this segues into next year's Money in the Bank. Because the winner of the 2014 Money in the Bank would be one Seth Rollins, who was being built up at the time as like to be the next top face of the Authority. Yeah. And thus, like you guys are saying, you get Jamie Noble and Mercury as his bodyguards and stuff. But
Randy Orton has to play fiddle.
Yeah, play second fiddle to Seth, and it's just like, what the hell's going on? But you get to what many will say is the most iconic cash-in Money in the Bank history. It's the heist of the century. It's one of the biggest WrestleMania moments of all time, where Seth Rollins comes out at WrestleMania 31 in the middle or towards the end of that main event encounter with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And like when that music hit, like, dude, they were going ballistic there in San Francisco, man. Yeah, that's true, Dylan. Yeah, I think the Authority was trying to recreate that Vince and Steve Austin drama with, which has been done so many times throughout the years as well. But
My favorite story about him cashing in at Mania,
yeah,
is the Samoans being pissed.
yeah, they weren't too happy because which is so funny to think about now and what old Roman has done since then. But
Yeah.
at the time it's just like, what the hell? Like, are you pulling a 9 on us again? What's this shit?
Yeah.
Like
And
our
it was
guy's
like,
getting the belt and then he's like losing the belt. Even though Roman technically didn't win the belt at this WrestleMania, but still, yeah, they were,
yeah, but it
because
was like, and
Roman
it's
was
in the middle of
positioned.
San Fran, where most of the Anoa'i and Fatu family lives
Mhm.
and are from. There's a lot of Samoans in Cali that are just not related but associated because they're
Yeah,
all related. Yeah, Samoans are all related.
one way or the other. Like, what I remember about going into this Mania too is the main event was just like, I was excited for this Mania because it was Mania, but the main event I was like, I don't give a shit. Because
Yeah.
Roman was being shoved down our throat as white meat babyface, and it was not working.
Yeah.
And then we know at this point Brock Lesnar had been built up to be this unstoppable force. I mean, this is the guy who ended the Undertaker's streak. This is the guy who literally beat the shit out of John Cena in a main event at SummerSlam for like 15 minutes straight. So like, what is Roman Reigns going to do against Lesnar? But I remember this matchup and just being like blown away with like, you know what, this actually was a pretty decent matchup. But WWE was like positioned in a place where it's like, okay, we want Roman to be the top guy, but if we put the belt on him, like that crowd is going to be booing like crazy. And then like, Lesnar's the heel, so what do we do here? And it was like a perfect opportunity. Like, oh, Rollins cashes in. Like, why wouldn't he? Especially to cash in like after these two guys have beaten the holy hell out of each other. Yeah, Roman does look a little like Jesus. But yeah, what do you guys remember about that cash in? Like were you excited about it? Were you just like, I mean, how could you not be excited about it, right?
Yeah, I think it was one of the few times where I cheered for the heel because I again was not a fan of either Roman or Lesnar at this time. I was like, oh, hell yeah, a new guy, like a new push into the main event that isn't the same 5 people. I like this.
Right? Yeah, we got a new fresh face. What about you, Michael?
I remember being just utterly and thoroughly confused. I never understood why, even though they're in the middle of a match, I understand the two of them, beating the hell out of each other. Why would you want to make it a 3-way? Why wouldn't you wait until the match was over and then cash in? Like the 1-0 MMA star in me just does not understand wanting to fight 2 people at once.
The fact that came back is hilarious.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It was just like, but it kind of lends itself though to you look back at the couple previous Money in the Banks, they'd almost staled outside of having people finally lose.
Yeah,
it staled a little bit, so I think they needed that spice up again, and I honestly think that's why they went with the triple threat and not after the fact.
Yeah.
Well, I think my thoughts on it was like, okay, we don't want Roman to win, but we don't want Lesnar. We need to get the belt off Lesnar, but we don't want Lesnar taking the loss. So it was like, okay, this is what we're going to come up with. So I think that's why they did it, in my opinion. But nonetheless, man, it's probably the Heist of the Century is probably the most infamous cash in of all time. Like we've got some more to talk about, but man, it ranks up there as one of the best. Is it the best though? I don't know. We're going to talk about that when we get to the end of the show here tonight. But let's talk about the 2015 Money in the Bank winner, which I think is the guy people forget won Money in the Bank. But Sheamus would win your 2015 Money in the Bank, and then he would cash in at Survivor Series that year after Roman Reigns had won a tournament, like defeating, I think he beat Kevin Owens and then Dean Ambrose.
Yes.
In one night, and like Roman's finally getting his moment which let's call a spade people still didn't give a shit about. Which is just so weird to talk about now and like look at where we are now with Roman. But Sheamus comes out, and once again continuing on the storyline with the Authority, because now the Authority doesn't want Roman to be the champion because Roman won't bend the knee, so to speak, to Triple H. So then they get Sheamus to come out, cash in, wins Money in the Bank, or wins the WWE title, holds it for about a month, and then drops it back to him. Like, I don't know, I love Sheamus, but I look at this just as like, okay, this is just like a factoid so we can add on to Sheamus's like historic career where he's pretty much won everything in WWE. Like, you guys remember anything really about except the IC title? I know.
Except that, they won't give him that IC title was stupid.
Like, do you guys like? Do you even remember Sheamus's cash in?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's just like I honestly, when I was putting my notes together, like I skipped over it at first, and I was like, "Wait a minute, didn't Sheamus win this?" And I had to go back and look. I was like, "Oh shit, I missed a year." So, that just shows you like how epic that was, I guess. But, now we go to 2016, and 2016 I think is an important one because we're out in Vegas for Money in the Bank's pay-per-view, and we get a guy who is red hot at the time right now, who people are clamoring to see be WWE champion. Dean Ambrose would win the Money in the Bank.
It's weird.
But
Dean Ambrose.
I know, I just want to say Mox, but it's just like, okay. But
yeah.
But so we get to that later that night. This is a very important, it's a crazy statistic, and I just saw this the other day too. So you have your main event matchup, which is going to be, Seth Rollins challenging Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. Seth Rollins would win the WWE Championship, and then about 3 minutes later, Dean Ambrose cashes in, and thus you have all three members of the Shield hold the WWE Championship in one night in about less than 40 minutes.
Yeah, I just saw something about that too. I think the anniversary of that happened like recently or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was today or yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. And that was like what, 8 years ago. Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
He held the contract for 57 minutes.
Yeah. Yep. And also a big thing too with this was Seth was coming off that injury too, because he had injured his had that horrific injury and had to vacate the WWE Championship. Like coming back, but yeah, that was that year was a fun one, just simply because you got the moment with the Shield, and like you would get a couple others where they cash in the night of the pay-per-view, but 2017 would be an historic Money in the Bank. And it would be historic because Baron Corbin would win Money in the Bank. Right, guys?
Shut up.
Yes, Baron Corbin would be the men's winner. And can anybody remember who even tried to cash in? Was it against Cena? I feel like it was Cena for some reason, but I don't think it was. I can't even remember who the hell he tried cashing it in against. I mean, he didn't win. Because this was also a Baron Corbin at this point, too, who was just like, he's still kind of like the biker guy, I think you could say. Like, it was just like, I was just kind of like, I'm not really feeling this Baron Corbin. It's not, it's not Happy Corbin, or it's not like, Baron Corbin NXT 2.0. I don't know. This is another one. He goes on that, I hate to say it, but he goes on that list of like, I hate to say worse, but yeah,
not the best.
I like that better, Michael. Thank you. Yeah, not the best Money in the Bank winners would be
coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, the 2017 Money in the Bank was historic because it would be the first time ever they would have the first ever.
Oh, you're going to love this.
What? Who was it against?
Jinder Mahal.
What the fuck? He couldn't hinder the gender? He could not hinder
the
gender. That was
gender.
The greatest sentence I've ever read in my life.
He could not hinder the gender.
Oh, that was
Baron,
so
now hold on.
great.
Baron Corbin unsuccessfully cashed in his Money in the Bank contract on Jinder Mahal.
On a random SmackDown.
He could not stop the modern day Mahalacha. Oh, I remember what it was. I know Cena was involved because Cena
Yeah.
comes out and jumps Corbin because he was in a feud with him at the time. That's what it was.
Which, by the
Okay.
way, Baron Corbin and Cena in a feud, that's also a weird sentence to say.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's oh, this was an interesting time in
2018 was
2017.
a trash year for the WWE.
But like I say, you do get a historic one because you get your first ever women's Money in the Bank matchup. And I got to say, the winner of it was not who I thought would have won it. Carmella was your
Yeah.
first ever women's Money in the Bank winner. But I think you guys, I
They
think,
fumbled this. First women's Money in the Bank.
yeah, because didn't they have a rematch or something afterwards because of fucking No Chin was involved in it and
Yeah.
helped Carmelo get the briefcase.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
But they
later,
recognized her as a 2-time winner, even though the match had only happened once at the time.
oh, they
Yeah.
did, didn't they?
Yeah.
But Carmella would win the Money in the Bank, the first women's Money in the Bank, and the second one technically, and would go on to cash it in against Charlotte Flair, the SmackDown after WrestleMania, where Charlotte had come off that incredible matchup with Asuka, but then she got jumped by the SmackDown's newest members, the Iconics. I'm sorry, I can't do it as well, but yeah. And then Carmella would be champion. Let me ask you guys this, like, because I think we remember the cash in just because it was the first women's cash in. But does anybody really remember anything about Carmella's one and only title reign?
No. See, I was super pumped actually when Carmella won it because she was already on an upward trajectory, and you win the Money in the Bank, you usually keep going, and then it just went right back down. It was like she was climbing that ladder, hit the ladder at the top, and then just fell down the other side.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It just felt weird, like that she won it and then she cashed in and won the belt, and then I don't know. Just like no disrespect to her. Like I liked Carmella as the next guy, but
yeah, no, she's great. She just they fumbled her earlier in her career.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks because she had a great NXT career and her beginning of her main roster was not.
Yeah, I think I think that's a fair assessment. She was very underrated, very talented. She's one of those performers that like you could give chicken shit and she make chicken salad out of it. It's the best way to describe it.
A lot of she was probably one of the last that will ever go through this, but she kind of got that Trish Stratus treatment where she was brought in with zero wrestling ability. I think was she a gymnast or a cheerleader? Something like that.
She was a gymnast in middle school and high school, and then she was a Dallas Cowboy and Miami Dolphins cheerleader.
That's it. But she was brought in with zero wrestling experience and learned it learned as she went, which is exactly what Trish did. Trish had a pretty decent career, so let's not try it again. I think the standards, though, for women's wrestling has drastically changed from the time Trish started till now.
I think once she comes back, she can get right back in there and kill it.
I agree.
Well, let me ask you this, guys. Do you think Carmella does come back at some point?
I think
we're talking about right now?
Yeah.
Right now. I think she's just trying to be a mother for a little bit, but I definitely do see she's talked about coming back. I've watched interviews.
I guess I just haven't seen enough out of her. I didn't know she had done some interviews where she pinned it at because
Well, Graves is only getting announcer money, so she's got to do something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No, she's done a few interviews. She did an interview with Chris Van Vliet recently, actually.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Last few months.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about your 2018 Money in the Bank, and let's talk about the women's side of things first. You get in 2018, Alexa Bliss would win the briefcase. And once again, would be one of the other competitors who did this many times throughout the years where they would cash it in the night of the pay-per-view. as she would defeat Ronda Rousey for the championship. Which I
Thank
think,
God.
yeah, because I think if I remember correctly, it was Ronda and Nia Jax,
Yes.
and Nia Jax had just like pretty much, I mean, Nia Jax had Nia Jaxed her essentially,
Yes.
which honestly couldn't have happened to a nicer person. I said what I said.
Yeah.
And then Alexa Bliss comes out and cashes in the Money in the Bank, and it's like it's a win-win. It's kind of like harkens back a little bit to the the heist of the century, because you have two competitors in a matchup who you're not too fond of, and then you get like Alexa Bliss, who everybody loves Alexa Bliss. So
Mhm.
I mean, Alexa
Especially
Bliss
at that
was
time, she was hot heel.
yeah. Yeah, she really was, man. She was that run as Alexa Bliss had as a heel. It was damn good. I love heel Alexa Bliss. I think it's my favorite Alexa Bliss.
Oh yeah.
But then you get on the men's side of thing, and once again, you can kind of see we're kind of running through like, okay, these Money in the Bank winners are just like the drizzling shits, because Braun Strowman wins the Money in the
On
Bank.
the women's sides, they're great, and then
Women's
the men's
side's
side-
good. Men's side is just dropping the ball big time. It's like, fuck, really? Braun's like I don't know. I've never. You can ask B-roll. I'm not a Braun Strowman guy. I'm sorry, I never will be. It's just like he's okay, but just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
And he would later go on and he would unsuccessfully cash in too. And I fuck, I can't even remember. I think it was on a Raw or something against Reigns, maybe, or something like that, or Lesnar or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it was Lesnar.
But yeah, it was just
on a August 27th episode of Raw. He held the contract for 70 days.
yeah.
I mean,
That's an asterisk.
He
It
did
happened.
have to defend the contract at SummerSlam against Owens.
Oh, against Kevin Owens? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because I think KO was petitioning because it was like he shouldn't have lost it or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember, something like that. But yeah, 2018 that happened, and then you get to 2019.
I hate this.
Like, well, let's talk about the positive first. And the positive is once again the woman.
no COVID yet. No COVID. No COVID.
No COVID yet. We're getting there though. Oh God, we're getting there. But we have on the women's side of thing, Bailey wins Money in the Bank. We all love Bailey. Another accomplishment for Bailey. And you're shaking your head there, Michael. You don't like Bailey?
No, sorry. I was thinking of.
Oh, you're
else.
thinking of what we're.
Oh.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
I keep on looking at it on my phone, and it
Yeah.
just upsets me to read.
Yeah. So Bailey wins. Bailey would successfully cash in once again that night. So we get another one of those where she cashes in against Charlotte Flair.
They
And
do that
becomes,
with the women's one a lot.
they did. Yeah, this was a time frame where it was like that was kind of repetitive. But yes, unfortunately, we have to talk about the men's side of things for this year. And damn it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
This match yielded the best Money in the Bank moment that wasn't a cash-in, I believe. Do you remember Lesnar coming out with the briefcase and using it as...
I was going to say that
and we
was...
get dancing Lesnar?
Okay.
Beatbox Lesnar was the best thing that come out of this Money in the Bank.
was
no doubt about that.
It was so good. It was so
True.
funny. And if you really think about it, actually, like plus or minus that by a few months, maybe 6 or so, is when Lesnar really like turned on his character.
Yeah.
Like he started being funny. Like what I saw a clip recently of the joke he told to Bob about Bobby Lashley, the knock joke.
Yes.
He goes to Heyman. He goes knock, and Heyman's like, "Oh my God, I'm doing knock jokes with Brock Lesnar." Okay, who's there? And he says Bobby, and Heyman says Bobby who? And Lesnar just goes exactly.
Yeah.
And
No, great.
and
he had
it was just this big flourish of Lesnar actually being a character now.
Yeah.
Like this is
great
really around the
moments
time when he became interesting.
He had great moments with R-Truth too.
Yep. Pulling out of the Royal Rumble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lesnar winning it was like,
Oh,
like
the rest of it
stuff,
sucked though.
Yeah, the rest of it sucked, but the beatbox Lesnar, was it worth it?
No.
I don't know. Like, it is a fun gift to go back to every now and then.
My
I
issue
think
with it is
who was going to win it. It looked like. I think that's what pisses everybody off, myself included, because it looked like Mustafa Ali was finally going to get a push.
Yeah.
And like win it, and then he's going up to grab the briefcase, and then you hear that fucking music that I hate to say it, but anybody that is not Caucasian, if you hear Brock Lesnar's music, you know you're fucked. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Not trying to be racist, but I mean it's a reality. There's a path
There's
here.
a weird correlation with that. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But my issue, and I have the same issue with Cena winning it. Like, the Money in the Bank was supposed to be for guys who had never won a title.
Right. Yep.
And then you do this.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a head scratcher, not gonna lie. But I mean, Lesnar would go on, cash it against Seth Rollins, win the belt back, drop the belt back. I mean, you can see a pattern here where it's like these cash-ins are just, they're not really meaning anything, honestly, at this point. It's just like another routine. Let's just do it. It's that time of year, you know. It's just, at this point, the Money in the Bank's lost its luster.
Yeah.
So now we face a pandemic where there are no fans. How can we possibly make the Money in the Bank mean something or make it kind of fun to watch? And you get easily what has got to go down in history as one of the weirdest fucking Money in the Banks that's ever happened. The pandemic Money in the Bank in 2020 that takes place in Titan Towers.
On the roof.
This is just fucking weird. Like, as a lot of those cinematic matches were at that time frame, but you get to this one and it's just like, huh? Because you have, so the first time in Money in the Bank history, you have two Money in the Bank matches going on at the same time, B-roll, because you have the men's match and the women's match happening all at the same time. And so the premise of this, B-roll, is they have to get, this happens at WWE headquarters in Connecticut, right? And the premise is you have to start from the lobby, work your way all the way up to the top of Titan Towers, where on the roof there is a wrestling ring and ladders and briefcases hanging. Yes, this was a thing. This really happened, buddy. I know you're very confused, and I can understand why.
2020 was a great year.
God,
You know
man.
what? I don't think I've ever uttered these words on this show. Okay. For the first time, I'm going to say, in 2020, I'm glad I wasn't a wrestling fan at that point.
Yeah, it would have been a weird ass time if you came in, bro.
I remember that. So this Mania was around the time I even joined Wrestle Talk, and having to talk about this Mania on TikTok and be serious was very hard.
It's just weird. I mean, I understand why they did it with their circumstances. Like, they had to make it fun, right? But like, this match to me is more comedic than anything. Like, just with all the different spots you get. Like, I'll never forget the Dana Brooke grabbing the briefcase, and she's in like the room, and it's like, what are you doing, Dana? Like, you're in the wrong place. And I think Nia Jax comes out and just like hits her with a painting or something, just beats the shit out of her.
Like, I kind of want to go back and watch it just for like comedic purposes.
You gotta watch it for comedic purposes.
There's
honestly.
so many great things from this era that are just funny to watch because there's.
I'll admit, I'm not a big fan of most of the cinematic matches, and by most I mean almost any of them, to be honest. This match is like my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
I loved this.
Yeah.
I mean,
I loved this.
I actually did like this Money in the Bank too,
Yeah.
Michael. I agree.
Asuka does like a cross body from like the second floor down to the first in the lobby, kind of thing, you know. But like, when else are they going to get to do something like that? You know, you need that pandemic to have the building completely empty, kind of thing. And it was just, I thought it was hilarious. I loved it. I really did. I'm a sucker for this match.
I agree.
And Otis wins.
Yes, that's the crazy thing with the winners.
My boy.
On this.
Yeah.
Love Otis.
But we talk about the women's winner and then her not cashing in, but getting the surprise of a pregnancy.
Yes. And
That
B-roll, I know
Money
you're
Night
looking like,
Raw
what are you
moment
talking
is
about?
amazing.
How did the winner of Money in the Bank become pregnant? No. When is that?
No.
And these are the days of our lives.
No, sorry, but yes, that was it. Like 2 weeks later, they're in
That
the
was the
ring.
next night on Raw.
Oh, it was
The
the
ne-
next
the-
night.
Yeah, the next night. So here's the thing, B-roll. What happened was Asuka would win the women's side of things. And we get to Monday Night Raw the next night. Becky Lynch comes out and she reveals what was inside the briefcase all along was the Raw Women's Championship. And then Becky delivers that famous line of, "You get to be the champ or something while I go off and be a mother." So essentially, Becky had to vacate the title because she was pregnant.
And then Asuka makes it click in her head, and she's like,
Yeah.
"You're pregnant? You're pregnant?
pregnant?"
Your Asian exit?" And
Which
it's
I'm pretty
amazing.
sure that was the first time Asuka was like
Yep.
finding out about it. Had to have been because her
Oh, no,
reaction
it
was
was.
priceless.
She's definitely talked that in interviews. Like, yeah, no, that was the moment I knew, and like that was the moment a lot of people on the roster knew, like found out.
Yeah.
Like, they kept it very secret.
But I think
Yeah.
something else we also have to talk about this is I want to talk a little bit more about the Otis win, but the fact that didn't Rey Mysterio and Baron Corbin get unalived in this match too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they supposedly fell off the fucking Titan Towers. They pulled an a la Giant from WCW Halloween Havoc 95 where they fall off the roof.
There's no river. There's no water. There's no nothing.
There's nothing there. There's just concrete. And the next night they're on Raw somehow. And somehow a month later, Rey Mysterio is alive getting his eye socket pulled out by Seth Rollins. Yeah, 2020 was a weird fucking
It was a
time.
weird time, man.
But Otis as the winner of the Money in the Bank, maybe the biggest shocker in Money in the Bank history, because I think we were all pulling for him, but nobody like seriously thought Otis was going to win it.
Yeah, him and Sandow are like tied for my really. They actually won.
Yes.
Like, really surprised. Very fine with it, but just very really that guy.
Well, I love the way this transgressed too, because it was AJ Styles and I think it was Corbin on the top of the ladder, like going back and forth the briefcase, and they fumble it, and then Otis just catches it,
Yeah.
and thus, Otis is the winner of Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the only way Otis would win it. He has to win it in that fashion.
Yeah. I watched a great sidetrack. I watched a great interview with Mandy Rose and her husband this morning. And
Did she talk about Otis?
They were talking about that storyline with her and Otis, and she made a comment about how Otis wasn't a bad kisser, and her husband's face got beat red, like he wanted to walk off the interview.
Oh,
Us big guys try harder. I mean, that's just is what it is.
it's fact.
Yeah. And he was like, "Stop it, shut up." I was like, "Oh, he got his feelings hurt."
Yeah. Hey, man. Well, if he got his feelings hurt on that, I hate to hear what he thinks about what his wife's doing for a profession now. I'm just saying. B-roll, you want to say it?
The best $4.99 I spend every month.
Go ahead, buddy.
Monday's bunghole.
There you go.
I ain't gonna lie, they make money because he
yeah.
owns a few businesses, and he's still like he's got that NFL money still.
Yeah.
And
Kudos to
she
them,
does
man.
what she does.
Yeah, my OnlyFans doesn't do very well.
Yeah, my feet finder doesn't do a damn thing either, Michael. I don't
Yeah,
understand
mine
why.
bear paws for you. Doesn't work.
Oh, I
Whoa.
have to look that up after the show. So so 2020 was a crazy year, weird year. By the way, Otis eventually would drop the Money in the Bank briefcase to the Miz. Miz would go on to cash it in against Drew McIntyre and win the WWE Championship, his second WWE Championship. They would only hold for about a week, but still, at least the Miz got another title run. So, let's talk about the 2021 men's or women's Money in the Bank. Now, starting off with the women's,
So
it's kind of
he
a
cashed
weird
in.
one.
So the Miz initially cashed it in between a match between AJ Styles and Drew McIntyre. And then it was ruled invalid because John Morrison interfered. And then he had to cash it in on Drew McIntyre a second time.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't remember the first one. I just remember he cashed it in on Drew after Elimination Chamber that
yeah.
year. Yeah,
Because he did it, he did the initial cash in at TLC. And then him and John Morrison got it like ejected.
Hmm.
So
I think we're gonna look back on that year 2020, and it's just an asterisk by it, man, because it was a weird time, man.
Yeah.
The Thunderdome and yeah. But no, the 2021 Money in the Bank. So let's start with the women's side of thing. I think another surprise with the winner here as we get the Nikki ASH would win the Money in the Bank.
Loved this gimmick, and they should have done so much more with this gimmick.
I love Nikki Cross. I've loved Nikki Cross from like her ICW days even.
Yes.
But I gotta say though, I wasn't too into the Nikki ASH stuff.
I thought it was a
She's
rib.
in a better place now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I honestly thought the whole Nikki Ash thing was a rib. Come to find out, it was her idea.
It was her
Like
idea.
they were just kind of finally giving her the go do what you want. And she was apparently massive fan of the Rosie Hurricane.
Yeah. So she wanted Gregory Helps to come back as a manager, and she wanted Molly Holly to come back.
Yep.
Like she had a whole storyline of her having her getting mentored by Molly Holly and Gregory Helms.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
And she was halfway there because Gregory Helms was already working there at the time. So
yeah.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. I remember she cashed it in and won the championship. I can't remember when she cashed in. Did she cash it in that night? It was the next day. Okay.
Yeah, it was on Monday.
Yeah, it was the next day.
And I'm pretty sure it was against Charlotte, right? Because everybody cashes in against Charlotte.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and she would have a little bit of a title run there. It wasn't too long, but to me, what stands out the most about 2021 by far is your men's winner. Because finally, Big E Langston, Big E, would win the men's Money in the Bank and would go on to cash it in. He called his shot. He said when he was doing it, he let Bobby Lashley know, I'm going to be doing it against you on Monday Night Raw. And lo and behold, man, he would cash it in, win the WWE Championship. And I wish Big E had a longer run as champion, honestly, man.
Yeah.
I really do. Once again, a guy that was cursed by like Brock Lesnar, essentially. But it's interesting because I'm sure you guys have read these theories and stuff. But if Big E, if that didn't happen, like because originally remember because that happened at day one, I think is where Big E lost the belt.
I remember, yeah.
And I think that was originally supposed to be Reigns and Lesnar in the unification match, which they would do later on, at WrestleMania. Anyways, it's one of those big what ifs like scenarios because if what they had planned originally happened, there's a good chance that the tribal chief Roman Reigns, the bloodline, we would have possibly not gotten that, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
It would stem out from that one moment in time. But I was so happy Big E, I think, still one of my favorite guys to win it. Like he's one of those who's just like, I don't think there was any fan that was upset that he won Money in the Bank, man.
No.
I mean, how could
he's just a great dude too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even if we never get a chance to see him in the ring, as long as he's healthy and happy, that's the most important thing, man. Love me some Big E, man.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's talk about the 2022 edition of Money in the Bank. And on the women's side of things, we get someone winning who is a current women's champion in WWE right now. Liv Morgan would win the women's Money in the Bank, and this is another thing I get lost up. I know she cashed it in and won the belt, but was it that night, Michael?
Yeah,
it was that night on Ronda Rousey.
So that was another Ronda cash in. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep. So, and this is the time, folks, where I was a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
This is probably my first Money in the Bank.
Was this really? No shit.
I
Okay.
think so.
Oh man, you got screwed on the men's side then, buddy, because it's probably the worst cash in of all time.
Hey.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to Bree's best friend. And
I got nothing against the man, but the cash in was fucking weird.
Horrible.
The worst cash in ever, I think. So the men's side, Austin Theory would win the men's Money in the Bank, which at the time made perfect sense. Theory was on the rise. He was a great talent. It's easily the most fumbled cash in Money in the Bank history, in my opinion.
Oh, now I know why you say that because I forgot he fucking did this on a middle card title.
It's the first time ever it's been done.
Title.
He tried to cash it in Not on the WWE title, not on the world
And-
title, undisputed title. He cashed it in on the
And-
United States title, and
Unsuccessfully.
he didn't even
God,
win. He didn't even win. He couldn't even win back his
I
U.S.
forgot
title.
that happened.
But-
oh, that's disgusting.
But we have to remember though what came out of this. So we got that like hardcore Austin Theory for that little while after this.
Mhm.
He
Has
got
the
angry.
matchup against Cena at Mania, DeVito. I remember too, B-roll. You probably remember us having these conversations. I told
Mhm.
you, I was like, "That's it. Theory is done. He is dead in the
Yeah.
water. There's no way he's coming back for this." And somehow he did. Now, right now, with what he's involved with, I'm okay with the tag team with Waller, but
I think that feud, because I know they're kind of
It's
teasing
coming.
a breakup, that feud's going to be great.
yeah,
That rivalry, those matches are going to be really good.
yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with that, my friend.
Austin
But-
Theory as a babyface is going to hit hard.
But yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, it's one of those.
Interesting.
It made perfect sense for him to win it, but you had that change in leadership for the better.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
got to the point where the briefcase just had to get off him as quick as possible because he had it too long and teased it too long.
Yeah. It was it was weird, man. It was weird that he cashed in on the US belt, but yeah. And like I say, I think it's easily probably the worst cash in of all time in all the Money in the Bank's history, and there's been some doozies, but let's talk about last year's Money in the Bank though, 2023. And I think this was this was getting back to kind of like what Money in the Bank should
Real
be.
good.
Because on the women's side of thing, you had Io Sky would win the women's Money in the Bank and would have the successful cash in on at SummerSlam against against Bianca. It was against Bianca, wasn't it?
Bianca.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that crowd popped so hard when like Io Sky came out, man. They all knew. They're like, yes, this is happening.
Well, and you had the symbolism of Damage Control had debuted at SummerSlam. She
the year
did
before
at SummerSlam.
Yep. And then, of course, the men's winner last year. We know him. The one Senior Money in the Bank.
In the bank.
Damian Priest. And
What's
I'm
special
biased.
about this one, XLJ.
I'm biased because this was my first in-person Money in the Bank cash in. And I was going fucking nuts at WrestleMania 40 this year when we all knew going into it. We're like, dude, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. Like we've been teased it so long. It was starting to get frustrating. It was just like, okay, Priest is not going to cash this damn thing, and we're not going to get it, or it's going to be unsuccessful. And then it was just like the scenario presented itself going into 40. Okay, Rollins coming out the night before from wrestling in that massive tag team main event. It's opening Mania. He's going against a fresh Drew. There's the element of CM Punk being there and Punk and Drew with their thing that's going on. And I can remember sitting next to my good friends Greg and Emily, who I went to Mania with, and just kept nudging like, watch this. I'm telling you, this is going to happen. Like we just knew. Even the guys I was sitting next to, they're like, yeah, it's happening tonight. We all knew. We just knew somehow it had to happen. And then, man, when Priest music hit, I got to tell you, the Lincoln Financial fucking exploded when he came running down that ramp.
You can definitely hear that
Oh
explosion.
my god, dude! It was nuts. We were going ballistic. I mean, you can look back on our vlogs from that WrestleMania, which, by the way, are available here on Cold TV. Cheap plug, but
May or may not be the viewed video in Cold TV history.
Yeah, it is you're right. It is the highest viewed video here in Cold TV history, and rightfully so, because there's an amazing WrestleMania. But yeah, dude, just being in that moment, being there for like a cash in. I gotta say, man, it's one of the coolest damn things. Like I'm biased, like I say, it's my favorite cash in. So that kind of, since we've gone through the history here, I gotta ask. It's
one of the cooler briefcases too. Let's say that.
Yeah. Priest's briefcase was awesome. But I gotta ask you guys, what is your favorite Money in the Bank cash-in moment of all time?
Mine has to be Rob. I just that crowd. Like that crowd
Yeah.
was nuts. That crowd, that like you talk about, the pop at the beginning of when Damian Priest comes running in the ring. You had that entire match, at that
Oh,
ballroom,
And yeah.
and that even this just that not even just that match, that whole show was just bonkers.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And to have WWE title change hands on a ECW pay-per-view in that small of a venue, just to a guy that was very deserving of having a WWE Heavyweight Championship. I definitely go with Rob.
Yeah. Michael, what about you, buddy?
This is cliche, but it's the first. Edge cashing in at Elimination New Year's Revolution after that Elimination Chamber match with a bloody Cena. Being very sneakily heel, as hot as a heel as he was at that time in 05. I think that just I watched that. The match in itself is also great. That Elimination Chamber match is amazing. So just that hour 10 minutes is just really good.
You're making me want to go back and watch it, man. B-roll, I know you're early on still, but do you have a favorite cash in or out of these? Because I know you've gone back and watched several of these Money in the Banks too.
Yeah, I think there is something special, very special about the heist of the century. I'm also a big Seth Rollins guy. And I honestly, I would between that one and the Rob Van Dam. But
yeah, I think those are all solid. I think, like I say, for me personally, because I was there, my favorite is Priest. But if you was ask me to do like a Mount Rushmore of Money in the Bank cash-ins, which is hard, but I think I go the first one with Edge because I mean that established it. The Rob Van Dam one, just because of what incredible of a scene that was. The heist of the century, and I think the Dolph Ziggler cash-in. Like to me, those are like probably the four best of all time. Which there's been some good ones, man. It's been incredible. Let me ask you guys this: like we talked about kind of some duds these past several years, but last year was a great success. Do you think the Money in the Bank is finally back to where it needs to be to having the importance of like, okay, this actually means something again?
I think with it being out of COVID, because I do think that hurt it, and with the certain old man out the picture.
Yeah.
I definitely think the Money in the Bank is back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, I think that's I think you hit the nail on the head, Michael. Mike, what about you, buddy?
I think the fact that there's a men's and a women's now, I think is what really kind of sets it apart now. Because like this match should be a launching pad. You talked about it a little bit before. This match should be the one that helps mid-carders get to that main event status, overnight essentially. And you look at the women that have won it, between Carmella, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Asuka, Nikki, Liv, and Io. I mean, that's an all-star cast right there, and it's helped make all their careers. It made them all instantly, at the same level as a Charlotte, as a Natalia, as a, insert other, amazing female wrestler here. And yeah, it's doing again what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. I think I really do think we're back. Like I like that's one of the great things of this. If we're calling it the Renaissance era, whatever we're calling this Papa H led era, let's put it that way. I mean, that is reestablishing traditions of old, and Money in the Bank, I think, is definitely one of them. So now I gotta throw this guy at you guys. It's coming up in a couple weeks. We don't know everybody that's in the matchup. We know some, but do you, in your opinion, what's your predictions? Who do you think will win the men's side, and who do you think will win the women's side? So I know it's hard because it's like we don't know.
Who's
B-roll.
in it already?
Yeah,
Let's see. Jay
so-
Jay Uso qualified on Raw on the men's, and then what we got? Io Sky qualified on the women's side. I felt like somebody else qualified for the women's, didn't they?
I don't remember.
I can't even remember. I mean, because there was so much other crazy, awesome shit going on Raw this past week. I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want it to be Finn
Finn, yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be kind of cool.
because I feel
It
like
would be interesting.
I feel like a Finn turn on Damien would be super fire storyline wise.
And then he cashes in on Liv Morgan.
Oh snap!
Double cash in.
Yes, because it's like
Here's my briefcase, and here's your hotel
here's
card.
your room key. It was
Yeah.
a facade. Oh no. I don't know. Like it's like I feel like without knowing, I know it's really hard, but I feel like we talked about it. This is going to be that moment that puts the talent and gives them that big moment and that big push into the main event, so to speak. I feel like on the men's side of things, you got to go with arguably you could say the hottest act in the WWE right now. He's already qualified. I think it's Jey Uso. You could say LA Knight, but I think there's going to be some shenanigans there that cost him the matchup from one.
I think it's gonna be Jay just because
Yeah.
he kind of put it out there with that poster.
Yeah, but I think something may just happen to LA Knight that he's not going to like, and somebody may cost him that matchup.
That's hilarious. I still need the tripline.
Oh, it's delicious.
So good.
Man.
It's so good. Good luck finding a bad flavor. Truly.
Great
Um,
nuts.
Yeah.
I haven't had grape. I'm still, which is
Grape
confusing
anything
because I love grape
trash.
stuff.
Yeah, grape anything is trash.
Oh, I disagree. I love grape.
Grape
I hate
Kool-Aid's
it.
amazing.
Watermelon.
Grape Jolly Ranchers, man. Ooh.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
grape Laffy Taffy.
Gross.
All right, back to the important stuff.
Yes.
So, I was hoping you were going to say LA Knight the first time. I don't think there's a person in the company right now that holds the crowd in his hands like LA Knight does. Like truly. Like Jey Uso's entrance, massive. It's huge. Every time he does this, he gets a reaction. That's awesome. But there's something about just the way LA Knight talks. It's so, I mean, people make comparisons, obviously, but it's so Rock Austin that it just, how can you fight it? He's I would say a B to B plus wrestler. He's obviously an A plus promo kind of guy. I think this is a stepping stone. I really hope this is where they finally realize that guy could hold a title, and I think Triple H is the kind of guy that'll admit that. For the women's side, I have a feeling it's going to be Jade. I don't know if I agree with it, but I think it's going to be Jade.
See, I have I think I got a different opinion on the women's. I do think it's somebody. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. I think it's going to be Tiffy time. I think Tiffany Stratton wins the women's.
Dang straight.
It's weird that Tiffany hasn't had quite as much time in wrestling, not the WWE obviously, but it doesn't have quite as much time as Jade does. But you can tell is such a more polished worker.
Yes,
and I wouldn't be surprised. Either one of those would not surprise me in the least. New winners. That's all I care about. I like new winners.
yeah,
That's all.
and I think that's going to be the theme. What about you, Michael? Who do you think is going to win the men's and women's side?
On the women's?
Yeah.
Ooh. I would love Tiffy.
Yeah. It needs to be Tiffy time, damn it.
I'd be okay. I'd be okay with it.
Get a pink Money in the Bank briefcase.
Oh my god.
That's
She
what
puts
I
a
like.
mirror on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
that'd
what
be
she
so
can
great.
do character-wise with the Money in the Bank briefcase as a heel would be phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, I can see it all now.
Oh God! Imagine her doing that, and if you said like you wanted if Finn wins, he just puts like one of the demons on it. Oh, that'd be sweet
Yeah.
looking.
Ooh, yes. I like it. I like it a lot, man. Nonetheless, though, I think what we've established here tonight is the importance of that money in the bank briefcase. It's interesting to see where it's went in the pretty much about 20 years in existence to starting off red hot, kind of like phasing out,
So
now
fucking
coming back again to meaning of great importance. But
Yeah.
I'm excited for this Money in the Bank coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a fun show. Can't wait to see who wins the men and the women. But
No,
I think you guys hit the nail on the head.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
It's my turn to take over the show now.
Yes.
So the first time I was on, do you remember what we talked about?
Yeah, we did. We talked about your we talked about your injury and how you're coming
And
back. but I
we
hope-
talked Royal Rumble.
We talked. Yeah, we did talk Royal Rumble.
We
Didn't
talked Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it because I remember talking about that during it, and that I thought the Royal Rumble should always kind of be the same thing. It should be a stepping stone. You
Yeah.
know, like somebody new, get them immediately into, a main event status kind of thing. Question for the three of you. If you had the choice of winning either A, the Royal Rumble, or B, the Money in the Bank, which would you rather have?
Ooh.
Money in the bank. Easy.
Why do you say that, B-roll?
Anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, but man, WrestleMania main event. That's
Yeah,
what
but
you
I can,
strive for.
I can do the same thing with the Money in the Bank if I want.
You can Seth
It's
it.
true.
Yeah.
Now look at it this way. If you're now just talking strictly the Royal Rumbles where you got an automatic bid to Mania, because not all of them are like that. Which do you think has produced more Hall of Famers?
Oh,
So
Royal
man.
Rumble.
Which way do you look at it though? Is it, because obviously Jack Swagger's not making the Hall of Fame. He got a heavyweight championship, but he ain't making a Hall of Fame, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But to your credit there, B-roll, of the 31 Money in the Banks, 7 people have not won it. So it's a 77.4% chance you win that title.
Yeah.
Whereas winning the Rumble, of the 35, only 14 have lost. 60% chance of winning.
Wow.
And on the women's side, there's never been an unsuccessful cash in.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to identify as Michelle Wayne. And
Yo.
You heard it here
I need to
first.
do that.
Somebody,
That's such a great
somebody-
character idea.
somebody clip that,
Oh,
please.
dear God.
He's literally thinking about something for his next indie booking.
I am.
That's
There
amazing.
you go.
Like, how white girl can I get? I have ranch. It's right here.
Do you have
I'm
like
there.
a Chick-fil-A gift card? Do you have Kohl's cash on you?
I don't have Nicole's cash, but I definitely have Chick-fil-A sauce in my drawer.
That could work.
Yeah.
And you have to
Oh,
have
it's
a
gonna be
pumpkin
terrible.
spice
The fact
latte.
that this just happened on TV. Oh, that's fucking great.
It's going to be
Yeah.
so bad. Such a great idea, though.
I would pay to see it. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh! But nonetheless, man, Money in the Bank is
Yep.
upon us. It's exciting. It's a good your question you asked, though. Yeah, man, I look at it from if I'm looking at it statistically speaking, I think B-roll's right. You want the briefcase because you can choose your moment. But I feel also looking at it like, man, the Royal Rumble is so iconic.
Yeah.
And that's not to say the Money in the Bank is,
Mhm.
but I think you've got more iconic moments from the Rumble. I think it's safe to say than you do
Well,
Money in the Bank.
There's way more moments, too. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
much
'Cause
longer match.
It's
There's
much,
way more
and it's
participants.
been around longer as
Way
well.
longer,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I have to say the Rumble just because as an old head, I'm conditioned for that, I guess. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one to choose. But I'm going to say the Rumble.
See,
So-
I went ladder match simply because I just love being in ladder matches. Honestly, that was it. That was my reasoning.
Okay.
But-
fair enough.
But I have a question for you all, the
Okay.
experts.
Ooh.
As the newbie, I want to know, in your opinion, should Money in the Bank ever have left WrestleMania and
No.
became its
Oh,
own?
I like that.
No.
I really liked it being a part of Mania, honestly.
That is something I've been adamant on. and have had made videos about it. Actually, I miss it at Mania.
Now that it's 2 nights, I would be fine if it were back at Mania. Because it gives you it serves its same purpose again. Getting a bunch of guys a payday that weren't getting a payday before, whatever. It's a big, cool match to watch. But there's something about that pay-per-view that just kind of makes sense to me. It's another thing to look forward to. Otherwise, it's going to be other random named pay-per-view that I don't care about.
Here's the thing, possibly. Mike. Here's the thing with that. I think at this point, like a lot of people look as if you said, give me the big 5 of the year, Money in the Bank is the 5th one that people mention.
Yeah.
It's gotten that big.
Yeah.
Well, and even thinking of it that way, give this McMahon's Helmsley era, yes, number 2, a few years, and I think there are big, 4 or 5 is going to turn into like a big 8 with the way they're doing international shows now.
Yeah.
Clash of the Castle is going to be a big show every year now.
Yeah.
Show Blood Money is going to be a big show every year now. So
Blood Money is hilarious.
But yeah, it's in that realm.
And I think with the way Triple H is bringing back old pay-per-view names, and we're getting away from gimmick pay-per-views.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love the in your house ideas again. I love those.
Yeah.
Like I oh my
getting
god.
That news the other day,
and we're about to get Heat Wave. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we got that news the other day that Bad Blood could be coming back, which Bad Blood, especially in the 2000s, was such a good pay-per-view.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't like here's the thing, like talking about like Bad Blood and stuff. I know we're getting kind of off topic, but still we're talking wrestling, damn it. And that's what we do here on Learning the Ropes. The Hell in a Cell match really lost its luster. That's an episode we could easily do. And like it was just TLC. Pretty much let's just do it. Same with TLC. Let's just we're gonna have the Hell in a Cell match at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and whoever's feuding at the time we're gonna put in the damn hell. No, Hell in a Cell was to end a rivalry. Hell in a Cell was something we've been building for a while,
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like but I think out of stuff like that, out of TLC, out of Money in the Bank, I'm with like what you were saying, Mike, is like it. I think it makes sense for it to still kind of stand alone. As much as I'd love to see it back at Mania, I'm okay with what the position it's in now as a standalone pay-per-view.
Yeah, I wouldn't cry either way, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, this has been an awesome episode of Learning the Ropes here, but we've come down to the wire, come down to the end. It's closing time, folks. And as we always do here on Learning the Ropes, we got to close it out. The only way we know how, with a plug-a-palooza. And the Michael Wayne, I'm going to start with you first, my friend. Tell us where all we can find you, sir.
Very cool. So my main is obviously on TikTok, _Michael_Wayne. I also, since the last time I saw you, have a website now. If you go to ruthlessmw.com, I've got a bunch of random, just dumb ideas, honestly, for t-shirts that are up there. Some of them are pretty cool. Some of them are just like, you're sober for 3 years. Were you drinking when you made this? But whatever. But yeah, no, those are my 2 big ones. Is TikTok again, which is like right there. I nailed it.
Yeah.
And my website at ruthlessmw.com.
Sweet. And then, of course, now as we announced at the beginning of the show, we're gone from a tag team to a trio. So now you can catch our good friend Mr. Duplessis here with us every other Thursday on Learning the Ropes. But where else can we find you, Michael?
World Championship Wreckage on pretty much every show on that channel every once in a while. So and then on TikTok, MJ Duplessis 1992, and on Twitter, I would never call it X. I'm on Twitter, MJ Duplessis.
It's Twitter.
You want us to quit the Twitter? Anyways,
Elon Musk can kiss my crippled ass
because X is gonna give it to you. Sorry.
First off, I'm a DMX fan.
I love Exhibit.
What? That was a DMX reference.
No, no, Exhibit. Exhibit is by far the better rapper with the letter X.
Oh, Michael's over here. The mics. We're about to have some beef, I think.
Like I'm an East Coast rapper guy, but Exhibit's just a different level.
I like the
He also pays his taxes, so
Touche.
Ooh,
That was
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, you went there. Well, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Cole TV, you can catch a replay of our Pro Wrestling 60 and be on the lookout for the next episode of Colecast, which will be coming here in the next couple days to you as well, where we talk about the blockbuster summer of 1989. That's right. We talk about all the big movies that were released that summer. Coming up on the anniversary of the 35th year release of Batman. So how apropos it ties in with that. The next week here on Cole TV, you can catch a brand new episode of Pro Wrestling 60, as well as our Forbidden Door prediction show. Maybe a wrestling vlog B-roll that was due a month ago.
Maybe.
Maybe. We'll see. We may have another wrestling vlog, and hopefully, if the stars are right, we may have a brand new episode of Friday Night Movie Night coming at you too. And don't forget, you can
if the stars align.
If the stars align. And don't forget, you can also get some of our merch over on ProWrestlingTees.com. Just search Cole TV. You get a Cole TV shirt. You can get a PW60 shirt. And in the future, we're probably going to have some more merch on there, so stay tuned for that.
And I mean, if you're going to SummerSlam,
don't
hit
forget,
us up.
hit us up because we're going to be at SummerSlam in Cleveland. We're also going to be at GCW. Actually, we've got 3 different GCW shows I think we're going to here in the next month. So that's going to be exciting. So we got so much going on here at Cole TV. You're going to want to stay tuned for all of that. Well, the Michael Wayne, we want to thank you so much for joining us here tonight, sir. It's a pleasure, as always, having you on with us.
thank you. I love being here.
And don't forget to tune in a couple weeks. We'll be back for a brand new episode of Learning the Ropes. Actually, it'll be our 4th of July episode. And I got to tell you, there's no better way to celebrate the 4th of July with what our topic's going to be then, because we're going to be taking a look at the rich history of the Great American Bash, baby. That's right. We're going to be talking the GAB. Yeah, here in a couple weeks on Learning the Ropes. So we will see you then. But thank you, everybody, for joining us here tonight. And don't forget to be on the lookout for all this other amazing content coming to you this week on Cole TV, and all the other amazing content from Michael Wayne, from Michael J. Duplessis, from Mr. B-Roll, and myself. We bid you adieu. Everybody has an amazing week, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Learning the Ropes.